So my metabolism is slowed right down. So how do I go about revving it up? This is a question that I hear quite often. It's also something that I hear in regards to aging. So as a woman in my 60s, I totally understand how life changes, our body shape changes with what comes with menopause. Okay, so what we want to do today is I want to talk about the 5 factors that you can go through to help speed up your metabolism. But before I do that, it can be really tempting to think that metabolism is just a thing, right? So think of your speedometer on the car. You put your foot on the accelerator and it speeds it up. But the truth is, your metabolism is a very complex process. It's when you eat food, and what happens is how that food is then converted to energy, and then there's a whole series of chemical reactions that happen in your body, and it all goes to work to do what it needs to do. So it's very, very complex. Now, there are things that you have no control over, like genetics or your gender, and there is a list. But there is also things that you do have control over, and that's what I want to share with you today, the things that you have control over, and they are 5 factors, right? And so the first thing I want to talk about is food choices. So you want to just make sure that you're getting a good whole food based variety of foods into your daily intake. You want to make sure that you're getting enough fiber. You want to make sure that you're getting enough protein. But here's the thing that I always put into food, the food category as well too, is the water factor. So you want to make sure that you're getting enough water for your body. So here's a quick calculation. Grab out your pen, grab out your paper, or grab out a calculator. That might be easier. So it's 30 to 40 mils per kilo of body weight. That will tell you how much water you need. And remember, you do get water from your veggies as well and your fruit. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be drinking that much water. But you do need to also take into consideration how hot it might be outside, whether you're working out. So you need to then add more water into it. So firstly, when it comes to food, just make sure you're getting food from the closest source that you possibly can, real food, and make sure you're getting lots of fiber and protein into most of the meals that you eat throughout the day. All right, let's go on to factor number 2, and that is exercise. So it is tempting to think that most exercise is going to help rev up our metabolism. And it will to a certain degree. It's going to burn calories, right? So if we move, we will burn calories. But the best exercise that you can do is your metabolically active boosting workouts. And that's where your strength training comes in and your high intensity workouts come into play, because they give you more bang for your buck. What you're doing there is you are, particularly with strength training, you're increasing the muscle that you have. When you have more muscle, it means less fat in your body, which means you're boosting and speeding up that metabolism a little as well too. Let's move on to step number 3, or factor number 3, and that is stress. So when you are stressed, it affects your hormones, simple stuff. And what happens is that means that your body is going to burn less calories. So we need to have a good stress management plan. Okay. Now, a certain amount of stress is good for us. And there are good stresses and there are bad stresses. Exercise is a good stressor. If we are constantly worried about something, that's a bad stressor. Okay, so what you want to do is find a way of actually handling that stress. And it's one of the things that we've been talking about in my free group, Women Over 50, Get Active and Healthy. So I have actually shared a few videos and resources in there about how to actually get that stress under control. So if you aren't already part of that group, go ahead and join it. I'll pop the link in later on so that you can go and do that. All right, so one of my personal favorites when it comes to stress, because it goes anywhere with me, is breathing. So what I like to do is 2 quick inhales through my nose and 1 big breath out of my mouth. So it looks and sounds something like this. If you can do that a couple of times, then what you will find is your body starts to calm. It starts to feel a little bit more relaxed, and that's what you're looking for when it comes to stress. All right, now the next thing is sleep. So factor number 4 is sleep. So not getting enough sleep actually has a massive impact on your hormones as well too. And so what happens is you end up feeling hungry. What it also means is you go for those things that are not so good, like the sugars and the unhealthy fats, which means you're going to burn fewer calories. And there was one research paper that I read where if you have 5 hours sleep for 5 days, then what happens is you're holding on to an extra 800 grams of fat in your body. Okay, so that's pretty massive, and it gives you an indication about how much sleep is such an important factor for us. Okay, so recovery is just as important as what those workouts are, which is just as important as how we eat as well. All right, so factor number 5, our final factor, is it's called NEAT. So, and it's actually just really a fancy term for how you're moving or how you're sitting. So we tend to sit a lot more, we tend to move a lot less, and so this is your secret weapon, right? So if you can just simply be conscious of getting up and moving more, like for example, if you're doing something like I'm doing right now, I'm standing, which means I'm moving more than if I was sitting. So think about the things that you can do that have you moving a little bit more. One of my personal favorites is each and every time, because this actually combines 2 things together, right? And I'm a big time saver. So every time I get up and go to the bathroom, and let's face it, us girls are generally going to the bathroom a little more as we're aging. So every time I go to the bathroom, I do 10 squats and then I do 10 elevated push-ups on the vanity each time. So imagine just how many push-ups and how many squats you can get done. There's some incidental movement, and it means I'm moving more during the course of the day. So, you know, if I am sitting at my desk, which I am because I work, that means that I'm trying to counterbalance some of that sitting that I'm actually doing, because guess what, it's here to stay. So we need to find ways of actually moving a little bit more. One of the other favorites that I just recently shared was a full body workout, 3 exercises, and that was when the kettle was boiling, and I shared that over in my free group as well too, Women Over 50 Get Active and Healthy. So as I said, I'll put the link up. So the great thing about these 5 components is that you have control over them. As I said, there are things that you don't have control over, but there are things that you do. And so one of the things that I really, really love about this is we did a 5-day challenge some time back on this, and so some of the things that I saw coming through were absolutely fantastic. I saw ladies who dropped, 700 grams in that 5 days, or a kilo in those 5 days, or 300 grams. So it just depended on which of these components or how many of these components that they took up during those 5 days. So it is possible for us, regardless of how old we are, is to have an impact on our metabolism. It's just a matter of finding what's right for us and, making sure that we get it done. And that's really what it boils down to. It's like, how important is it for us to actually, feel better, have more energy, and just simply feel great? And when we can combine those 5 elements that rev up our metabolism, but quite frankly, they are just the 5 elements of well-being. So if we can do that day in, day out, then we're going to be feeling fantastic. We're going to be feeling awesome. And who doesn't want to feel like that? So it's Peter here from Strong Healthy Women. Hope you've enjoyed your tips for today. Go ahead, let's get that metabolism of yours revved up. Come and grab the recipes, the metabolic boosting recipes that I've got on offer. Just let me know. You can DM me below if you like, and I'll send them to you. Okay, so take care, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.